Hey everybody, it's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Happy Friday. Although for me, as a full-time YouTuber, I don't care what day it is. A Friday is like a Saturday, is like a Sunday. A Wednesday is like a Saturday. It doesn't matter because I don't have a job other than the fact that I have to wake up and make a video. I've got plenty of content for video. I've got too much content. I've got so much stuff that I'm overwhelmed again. Yesterday, I put a little bit of a dent into that overwhelming. Got rid of 5 push mower engines that I absolutely was not doing anything with, other than the fact that I could sell those parts on eBay. Not more than an hour after I put those 5 engine blocks onto the street, along with my shattered glass patio table, some scrapper came by, gone, just like that. I love how that works. You know what I do need, though? I do need, like, specific phone numbers of scrappers that will come and get the stuff. Like, I'm always throwing away tractor carcasses, right? And I always worry about the fact that the garbage guys won't take it because it's so heavy and big, you know? But I've had really good luck, and the scrappers usually come and get it. But I would like a list of all these scrappers, you know, and then just take a picture of the scrap and text them, and then first one comes gets it, you know what I mean? That way I can ensure that all the crap on my curb is gone, you know? So I've been talking to my friend Doug. He's Fearless, DJW, over on Instagram and YouTube. He does exactly what I do. You know, Doug, he's the friend of Mondo Mowers, also over in New Jersey. Those 2 guys are the only guys that I do business with over in New Jersey. I've never met Doug before, but I've seen his videos and his video that he did with Mondo Mowers. Anyway, that guy knows a lot. Seems like a young guy, but he's like filled with information, you know? So he saw my video where I had a brief shot of that International Harvester Lawn Boy push mower. I got that from my friend Mike Lynch. Mike Lynch is the neighbor of mine who lives about a mile away from me, right? We know each other because our sons went to school together, and they played on the same baseball travel team. They've all since gone to college, obviously, so I don't really have too much interaction with this guy, Mike. However, we still see each other around town here and there, and he likes small engines too. As you know, he also gave me a power washer years ago, which I fixed, but he didn't want because in the video it showed it was a very old power washer, and it didn't really work very well, you know? I mean, it was very underpowered. It was like a 1,000 PSI or something like that, and it was just junk, you know? So he didn't want it, told me to keep it. I eventually traded it for something else, but he had given it to me to trade. So then when I got a hold of another power washer recently, as you guys know, it worked great and all that, and it was like a 2,600 PSI or 2,200, something like that. Double as powerful as the one that he had, and it had a Rato engine on it, you know, which is a Chinese clone engine. Anyway, I think it runs great. He wanted it. In the beginning, I thought I was going to give it to him for $100, but then I thought about it and stuff, and I just gave it to him, you know. So he's real happy. A couple of weeks ago, he brought over an International Harvester lawn boy. It looks like that green lawn boy that the landscapers use all the time, right? The 2-stroke. Well, this is the International Harvester version of it, and it has the pre-Cub Cadet paint scheme, you know. It's yellow with white on the top. Somebody told me that thing is worth a lot of money. Somebody told me that they sold it on eBay for $350, not running. Well, mine doesn't run as far as I know, and I have never worked on a 2-stroke engine before. But maybe tomorrow or the next day, over the weekend, when I have a lot of time, I'm going to be working on that and trying to get that International Harvester Lawn Boy started up. It'll be kind of exciting, and I'm a complete newbie at it because I've never worked on a 2-stroke push mower before. Some nut is getting ready to come and see a tractor. My LTS 1500 with the bagger, he's coming from 45 minutes away to come look at it only. And then there's a guy who might be interested in my Scott's hauler for $300. So I have it listed for $375, but he offered $300. I'm fine with $300, you know. Doesn't have a mower deck. Today is also Friday. It's been exactly 2 weeks since I saw my mom. I need to go bring her some food and supplies, and at the same time mow her lawn with the Black Beauty, which I fixed 2 weeks ago. So I've got a few hours during the time that the guy's going to come and look at that tractor, right? And I don't want to go to my mom's too early because right now it's around 11, 12 o'clock. The sun is the hottest at this time, so I'm going to wait a little while until I go work on her lawn, you know? In the meantime, this is a Craftsman high torque power 6.6 horsepower EAGER-1. I've never had a model like this. Even though I've had this top shroud before, I've never had this Tecumseh setup here where the side primer button is over here and the throttle mechanism looks in this fashion. I've never worked on anything like this before. This is probably the air cleaner, right? From some of my subscribers who saw Larry give this to me, I know my friend Robert Nighthawk over at Nighthawk's Garage on YouTube and Instagram. Go check him out. Tell him Henry sent you. He told me he had one of these things too. People said that the carburetor is a nightmare to work on. They say it's a plastic carburetor. Luckily for me, this starts right up without having to mess with it. So I'm not going to mess with it. The only thing wrong with this thing, right, is that the handles over here, the handles are worn, meaning that no matter how tight you turn the wing nuts for the handle, right, this part here and this part here have been flattened, see? It's no longer grooved and curved like this that wraps around the tube. You know what I mean? So if it's flat, wrapped around a round tube, it's not going to grip. So what I need to do is take off the wing nuts, right? And bend this back into a groove, like a semicircle that matches the tubular shape so that it grips. Following what I'm saying? That's not the only problem. The other problem is the self-propulsion. It's got like a really new belt, you know? And when Larry was here and it was running, this thing was indeed spinning on the crankshaft, okay? But then after further inspection, this pulley is completely seized. It won't turn at all, you know? And it also is missing the cover that covers the entire pulley and belt system here, you know? The mower is in very good shape. I mean, there's hardly any rust that I could see, not even surface rust, so it's in very good shape. Not to mention that the front self-propulsion wheels, which are usually rubbed out, you know, still very good. So either the self-propulsion hasn't worked in years and it broke shortly after you got this thing, or he never put this on concrete, which is great. Because, you know, people with front self-propulsion, they're running it on concrete all the time. The thing's spinning. It rubs out the rubber treads a lot faster than if you had it on grass, you know. So look, I have a couple of options here. I could take off these nuts, right, the screws, and check out inside if anything's stripped and all. Or maybe I could try to unseize this pulley, right? I've engaged this while it's running. This thing does not turn at all. It's completely seized. So I want to take this apart and check out what the story is on the inside. If it's not repairable or costs too much money to repair, I'm just going to remove this gearbox altogether and remove the belt, remove the cable assembly along with the engagement handle, and just find something to cover this hole up, you know, like a piece of black plastic or something and silicone around it so that I make this just a push mower. Probably take out the pinion gears in here and sell them on eBay, because those things actually sell, believe it or not, if they're in good shape, you know. It does have a bagger, and it is complete, other than the fact that the self-propulsion doesn't work. So this is a nice, easy, fast project that I can do and still go to my mom's house, you know. I have to pick my battles along with my schedule, and I usually don't have a schedule, but today I have to go see my mom, so I have to do something that's not going to engulf my entire day, you know. Over here I have my oil container that's filled with old gas. The old gas is soaking in the heat, mind you. A couple of pistons for single cylinder Briggs. I'm going to use probably the bigger one, which is the 20 horsepower one. And eventually put together an engine out of those 5. I think I might have parts for everything to build one out of these 5. I have to try to remove the synchro balancer from there. This is my bench grinder that Larry and Bobby gave me. It works. I have to find a place to mount that someday. Another thing I have to do on this thing, this is very strange. So here's the height adjuster, right, for the deck. And if you'll notice, you pull on it, and it moves, right? But it's missing the teeth, you know, that allow you to, you know, adjust the height. And so I thought that the inner teeth plate is missing, right? But if you go over here and look on the inside, you'll see that the plate is there. However, the plate is such where it's mounted so high that the teeth aren't allowed to stick out from the bottom to grip onto the pin. So that, I mean, I just don't get that, you know what I mean? So I have this other plate from another, I have this plate from another tractor, right? And as you can see, the way this is worked out is that the teeth are so low that it sticks out, it protrudes so it can grip, right? So what kind of crap is that, you know what I mean? And it looks like since there's 3 holes there, it's tack welded on there, you know? But why is that one not showing, you know? It doesn't stick down far enough for it to be useful. It's completely a waste. So I thought of removing this entire plate, right? It's just these bolts that hold it. These 2 bolts hold the starter solenoid on the inner panel there. And this plate should be able to come out. But I do remember that the pivot point for this apparatus is all rusted. And this is a very heavy part, right? And it's a pain in the butt to remove this and get it back to where it was. So that's actually it could be a lot of work. It could be a nightmare. Oh my God, a nightmare!
Oh my God, what a fucking nightmare!
So before I go and try a nightmare, right, I was thinking about just prying the plate on the back here loose, lowering it 1/2 inch so that the teeth are protruding and it'll work. Or, actually that may not work because I think the metal plate here is not supposed to be there. I mean, I think that if I grinded or filed this part down to show the teeth, that would work. But this is such heavy gauge steel, you know what I mean? Or I could pry this piece off, right? And there's 2 holes there. If I pry this piece off and just put this plate on the outside, right? And put 2 bolts through there, that would be an easy fix, and the teeth would show. But then if the teeth show, right, the teeth would still be here. It wouldn't be lower. I still need to get rid of this plate. So maybe I will remove this plate. I'm not sure. This is the international harvester I have that I plan on working on in a pretty near future. As you can see, I only have 3 tractors here left. I have the Scots for sale. My Rodimus Prime I need to get going eventually. And some guy's coming to look at this thing. I have it listed for $875. And I'll probably go as low as $700, you know. I wonder if this is going to... if I have to remove the bagger system to get this out through my front gates. Because I know my front gates will just accommodate 42. But because you have the bagger system, it might be difficult. We'll see. I don't have it on a tripod today because the sun is just blazing, and with my camera here, if it's out in the sun too long, it'll say it's too hot to use. I don't think I'm gonna be fixing this Jamal Alatet. I think I'm going to take the engine off and scrap the rest. I know that might be disappointing for some viewers, but that's a Jamal a la tête. And I don't want a Jamal a la tête, you know? I haven't decided yet, so I'm not sure. But right now I'm going to get this out of here. So the guy came, as you saw, he looked at it, he came early. As I was pulling out of my gates, he was standing right there looking at it. So it was good timing because it was running and all that stuff. He's had tractors before, so he just got on and he asked me, hey, can I try it out? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So it's idling a little high, and it's because the governor linkage is a little oily over there. He needs to loosen it up. So, I mean, if you use your hand and push it forward, right, the idle will go down, you know. So I told him just put a little spring there, pulling the governor forward, adjusting with the idle screw, you know, that'll work. Or you can just oil it, whatever. But anyway, not my problem. You know why? Because he liked it so much. And remember, I listed this for $875, an exorbitant amount of money, right? And my friends were saying, are you crazy, $875? You're not going to get $875. And I always say, what do I always say? You know what I always say. Some nut will buy it for that crazy price. And this guy didn't even bargain with me. $875. He left me a $100 deposit, and he's going to come back later in the afternoon or maybe tomorrow morning with this box truck and give me the balance of $775. So I'm going to be selling this for $875 as long as a tree doesn't fall on it or something like that. But when he was giving me the $100 deposit, right, I said, you know how deposits work, right? He's like, yeah. I says, okay. So if for any reason you don't want it anymore, right, I keep the 100. He's like, yeah. Some people don't know how deposits work, you know what I mean? Anyway, it's turned into a super hot day, man. I'm going to get cracking on these handles here. So, as you guys saw, I took apart the gearbox to the transmission of that Craftsman 6.6 Tecumseh engine push mower. So when I was taking the 4 bolts out of the gearbox, right, they were all like screwed on by your hand. So I knew the guy was in there already. You know, that's why the cover was off, you know. I had later found the self-propulsion belt and pulley cover inside the bagger, when I took the bagger off to go and mow my lawn. It mows okay, but not as good as my yard machines with the big wheel. That yard machines really cuts well. This one cuts okay, but not as good as the yard machines. Anyway, so you could tell that the guy was messing with the self-propulsion. You know, the gasket was all messed up, and when I took the cover off, the not the worm gear, the spiral straight one, right, but the round cog gear that goes around the transaxle, right, that was all worn out in the middle. You know, it was all shaved off. The shavings were everywhere. And so that was an easy decision to make, you know, just took the gearbox completely off. I saved the pulley, and I was going to remove the drive belt from the thing. But underneath, there's a cover through the blades where you have to get the blade adapter out. It wouldn't come off, so to save trouble, I just cut the belt. Belt looked new too, but whatever, saved me a lot of time, you know what I mean? And it is hotter than hell outside, I'm telling you. Anyway, so I mowed my lawn with it. Like I said, it's okay, but it's not great. I cleaned it up, took some pictures with it, put the cover back on. I'll of course say in the listing that the self-propulsion doesn't work. I'll probably list it for $125 and sell it for $100. It's pretty good, you know. It's a decent shape, you know. I want to get rid of it before I have any carburetor problems. I heard that the carburetor is a complete nightmare to work on, so I'm not, you know, I just want to get rid of it, whatever. So this is for Sam, my friend Samuel Sandoval over at Red Oaks Mowers. He wanted to know where I was going to mount the bench grinder. Well, I don't really have a lot of room here, you know. Not at all in my garage anymore. As you can see, I've got the bench there, but I've got my refrigerator for the summer. I've got my two vices stuck there, so I really don't have anywhere to put it. This is my big toolbox rolling, you know. I just roll my stuff there. It's so heavy that even trying to roll it is inconvenient, which is why I have a radio flyer with the most common tools that I have that easily rolls to where I need to go, you know. And also I have my little stool where it has that tray where you can put all kinds of most often used tools. So right next to my bench over here, right, or toolbox, is a small bench over here with, this is my ultrasonic cleaner, which I don't really like. Don't use it much, right? And so I had a whole bunch of clothes and rags, old clothes that I used to chop up and, you know, make rags out of them, you know? And so I figured this would be a good place to put it. Threw a couple of nails in there and it's on there. I also have an outlet there, so I can just plug that in whenever I need it. So that's where I'll keep it for now. I'm going to have to clean up all this stuff eventually, you know what I mean? It's filled with stuff. Garage is just really messy. So I guess I'm just going to wait to hear from the guy who put the deposit down on this thing, you know? I'm just going to leave it here. It's kind of hot, you know? But, so the guy's going to come back either later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning with my balance of $775. So, you know, for some of you guys who said, Henry, $875 is just out of control. I agree, it's out of control. But somebody will buy it. And today, well, I'm not going to count my chickens until they're hatched, but looks like I'll be able to sell this for $875. I'm going over to my mom's house now, deliver some supplies and food and stuff for her, and as well as mow the lawn with the Black Beauty. Hey, so I'm back from my mom's. When I got back, the guy had already come, and my son was home, so he texted me and he says, hey, that guy's here to pick up your mower. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know, you know? So I just told the dude, hey, just give my son $7.75, you know, and just take it, you know? So that's what happened. Sweet! And a lot of you guys said I wouldn't get $8.75 for it. So my wife went to Home Depot to buy a new patio table. So that's the end of the day. Tomorrow I'm going to try to figure out the height adjustment teeth for that thing. I'm going to try to make it work. If not, I'm going to try to tackle taking the entire panel off with the assembly, try to unrust that clip, whatever, and see if we can get that panel with the correct teeth on there. I don't know why it's made that way. It's weird. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining me today. I'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Here at Mowers and Blowers, we push them into the garage, but they come out drive